morning, everybody. I am so excited to have a really exciting guest that we were meant to have during International Women's Month, but we had some issues and it didn't happen. So here I am with the lovely Karen Cummings-Palmer, who is a health and a nutritionist expert, and we're going to talk a lot today about how what we eat gives us that glow from within, because you've asked me a lot to discuss nutrition and what we should be eating and not eating. And I know that a lot of us on this feed are at that stage in our life where there's slight body changes. Sort of predominant audience on our lovely Facebook audience is probably, I'd say, 35 to 90, all right? Even 100, I'm hoping. But there are definitely things that at different stages of life affect us differently, and our metabolism changes, etc. So I was just going to say hello to a few people this morning, and look, can we first of all, everyone will ask about your outfit, so can you take a step back, because I've never had such a glamorous guest in, but it's so beautiful. That blush pink is divine. Where's it from, the top?
So the top is from Maria Gretsch-Vogel.
Maria Gretsch-Vogel.
And this is like a vintage, this is like, you know.
This was a designer in England, for those of you who are abroad or in Australia or wherever. Maria Gretsch-Vogel, I remember on the scene in the beginning of the noughties, even 90s, and a phenomenal designer, very tall, willowy woman.
She's very tall,
taller than me. But this is such a beautiful shape. And the trousers?
And the trousers are Max Mara.
Max Mara.
So I buy very rarely.
Yeah.
And I keep things for ages. And I repeat and I repeat and I repeat. And I quite like the memories that the clothes give me. So I don't sort of think, oh, I've worn that before. I think, oh, I wore that then, and that happened, and I was here, and I was. So I like a classic. I like a bit.
We love stories with histories. I remember the outfit I'm wearing, which I can't remember where it's from.
Fabulous.
But actually, you can tell me if you look inside there. Before we get on to nutrition, if you're just joining us, we're going to discuss about Alexi. I got this in Saks with Lila. We were looking for a bridesmaid's dress for her for my partner's daughter's wedding, and we ended up getting this and some things for her. But I remember loving it. It was very, very long, and I took out the trousers. It was actually literally for a giant. But let's get on to it now. So Rita, good morning. Carol, good morning. Jays, good morning from Australia. Sonia, good morning. Arlene, good morning. Helen, good morning. Had a fab Travel London experience. That's wonderful. Joanne from Cairo in Egypt. How fantastic. Donata, good morning. Or evening, it might be where you are. Rita's saying loves that pink top. It's Maria Gretsch-Vogel. It might be on Vestiaire Collective. Always things that are not around anymore. I always look at second resale sites. But it's an anniversary beaner of you following me, so it just says that at the top. Good morning, Mary. How are you? Good morning, Nina. Good morning, Sheila. So just if you're joining us now, I'm with the delightful Karen Cummings-Palmer, and we're discussing today, come on a bit closer, my darling, because I want to see you. We're discussing today how what we eat affects our skin, affects the glow, contributes to congested skin, her skin, by the way, is like, I'm looking up close and personal, and you've got the most incredible skin. I can't even see she's wearing any makeup apart from lovely lip and eye. But should we just start with, how much do you think food affects how our skin looks?
I think of skincare as sort of 3 steps. And I think the food, the nutrition, what you take in is the first, it's the foundation. Think of that literally, if we're talking about makeup, as the foundation, your BB cream, your CC cream. So food and nutrition is really everything. And then, of course, you've got topical, then you've got treatment, then you've got tools. But the nutrition is the foundation.
So let's start at the foundation garment. It's like the Spanx that you might consider that are going to just make everything feel smooth in many different ways. So what is your view on how you eat, and what have you learned over the years, Karen, about changing how you eat? I mean, did you always eat well, or did you start off eating every bit of sugar you could find and you had a high metabolism? What's your journey been?
Listen, I had never eaten badly. I was brought up in a family where we ate real food, so I didn't eat processed food. And when I say processed, I'm talking about highly processed food. Like, beans in a tin are good, right? Especially if that tin can be organic. But I'm talking about things that are fully, complete
So donuts, Krispy Kremes.
We don't want highly processed food very often, so I didn't do that. But as I got a little older, I love food. I love eating. And I love clothes.
Yeah.
So I was sort of trying to balance out my love of food and really enjoying eating and cooking and everything around food actually with wellness. So I just became more and more aware. I was also suffering with really bad skin. I was born with terrible eczema. I still have eczema. It's something that's quite difficult to completely get rid of.
I mean, look, come a bit closer because I don't see on Karen's face any eczema. So and here's Rebecca saying, I notice foods really eat my skin. So that's exactly what we're going to discuss today. BB cream is generally for oilier skin. CC cream is a color corrective skin. They all use different letters, but they sometimes mix them up. Okay, so continuing. So you never ate really processed foods?
Never ate really bad food.
Yeah.
But, you know, as I was dealing with my eczema, weight management, and age management, I just got more and more conscious of what I was going to eat. And I think that the word consciousness is really key. Because it's not about depriving yourself. It's not about never doing anything. Yeah. It's about elevating the consciousness around how you eat. Mm-hmm. So that if you are going to have dessert, make it a delicious, something that you really, really love. If you are going to drink, make it something that, you know, you really enjoy. But just a few key things, right? Sugar is the big one.
Okay, let's come on in. I need to just get our position so we're both in frame. So, like, yes, there. Okay. So, sugar. And Shirley will also say I need to incorporate more fruit. How? Because we'll discuss fruit as a sugar as well.
Sure.
But so, what did you first discover about sugar? What was your sort of trigger that you thought this is not good for me? And also, when you say sugar, it's a very broad term. So what kind of sugar are you talking about?
So I'm talking about refined sugar, first of all. So refined added sugar. Of course, sugar is naturally occurring in a lot of foods, particularly fruit. I'm not talking about that, although we don't necessarily want huge amounts of very sugary fruit. But I'm talking really about the refined added sugar. And it's all about inflammation, right? Yeah. So I don't care if you've got eczema, you're dealing with eczema like me, or arthritis, or premature wrinkles. It's all about inflammation. And reducing the refined sugar in your diet is going to help bring that down.
And all these things like from eczema to rosacea to acne, these are all caused by inflammation of the skin.
Exactly. It's all about inflammation.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the skin, and particularly when we're thinking about aging, as we go through our 40s and our 50s and beyond, we really want to focus on two things: the elastin and the collagen, right? So by the time you're about 40, you have about 40% less collagen than you started with. And that's the stuff that keeps everything up. That's the scaffolding of the skin. That's the bounce, right?
Yeah.
And I always say, you know, nothing wrong with fine lines, right? Fine lines are just marks of our humanity. But it's that when it sags, when it goes, that is something that's quite tough to come back from. Yeah. So we want to keep everything up and nice and bouncy. And supporting our collagen and our elastin is really helpful. And excess sugar causes glycation, which breaks it down. So that's just a kind of age management beauty reason.
So let's repeat that. This is in a real, when I used to be on Oprah, she'd always take something and then repeat it. So too much sugar breaks down the stuff that supports our skin, that is collagen. So just think about that. You've got lovely bounce of collagen. The more sugar you eat, the more it just removes it. To me, that's a very good visual whenever I want to reach for some refined sugar. Okay.
Yeah, and I think because it's not about willpower, right? Willpower is an unreliable vehicle.
Well, it's also then a not enjoyable way if everything is done by willpower, because as you said earlier, we should still, you know, I was just in Italy, I so enjoyed the process of eating and eating slowly. Sometimes in London I'm rushing, and just that ritual around food where you really enjoy each bite and you cherish it instead of stuffing yourself until you feel you're sated. That's a very different form of eating.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So if you have the information, if you have the knowledge, if you understand, for example, what sugar does, especially if you are, you know, using fabulous skincare, topical skincare, right, and you've invested in that, and then you eat unconsciously large amounts of processed sugar, you know that you really are counterbalancing in a negative way all of the good stuff you're doing.
I love this. Sarah's saying, you tell me this after Easter. I mean, a lot of us will have been at our children's Easter eggs, all right, let's be honest, and that's something where I think around Christmas and Easter, if you celebrate both those, or whatever the alternative you might celebrate, It's when we kind of go for those naughty things because we go, oh, why not a crumpet and then an Easter egg and then a Lindt and then a chocolate bunny and blah, 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 blah. But,
exactly.
But yes, can I just say, can we comment first of all, Karen's skin is beautiful. I drink lots of water and on a strict diet, I've cut down on sugar, but it's in a lot of food and I find it hard. There's Jade saying, off I go to eat Easter chocolate.
75% plus, all good.
Yeah, all good.
Chocolate's great for you, actually. Dark.
Yeah.
In moderation. Rich in copper, which is great for the skin.
Can I ask you this? Follow anniversary again, Tracy. Hello. I'm insulin resistant. Can you build up collagen again?
Yes, you can. I think that, you know, I'm a big fan of collagen supplements.
You are.
Now,
Depends
there's a
on
lot.
What there are.
It depends what they're. So there's a lot of, are they a waste of time? Are they not? Now, the truth is, like all these conversations is kind of all true. So, key thing with collagen is it doesn't know where that line is. It's not going to like plump that out, right? That little fine line. It just goes all over your body and supports a lot of things. It supports your joints, it supports your hair, it supports your nails. So it supports a lot of things. It's not a magic bullet. It needs to be highly hydrolyzed, which means that basically we can absorb it.
So things like liposomals.
Yes, that's for like vitamin C's, for example.
But there's liposomal collagen.
Yeah, the liposomal technology
is using collagen as well, because I have a collagen that's like absolute collagen is a liposomal.
Yes, you're right. Yeah,
and I just find then, because sometimes it's like vitamin C I used to take and it can aggravate your gut, but liposomal can bypass, go straight into the lower intestine and really penetrate and go to where it's needed. So
exactly, that's all about the technology.
Yeah,
that's all about the technology. So a good collagen is going to support.
Yeah.
But so, you know, adding that to your diet.
All right, so Jennifer, I turned 50 this week. I've just gone through menopause. What collagen is the best for me to take myself?
Well, so you have one that you.
I mean, there's a few I like. I like collagen powders, and I like liposomal collagen because I feel the absorption is better than some of the pills that you might get in a less expensive supplement, where there's a lot of other stuff in there, and how much of that collagen is actually going to get to where it's needed too. And there are certain cosmetic doctors, like Dr. Seabag, who's the cosmetic doctor I see, and he says, oh, collagen gets nowhere. But he's thinking of that basic pill. So,
exactly.
And I think also it's important, like you're saying, that to remember it's not just for skin, it's not just for the vanity matrix, it's for the bones and the joints and everything that as we go down, it gets a bit worse. Now, actually, there's one lady I want to go to before, because she was asking me a question. How do you know which collagen? Okay, we could do with a guided collagen. I can leave some good collagens afterwards. So if you've just joined us now, we're talking about the importance of what you eat to give your skin a glow. So I'm here with Karen Cummings-Palmer, who is a nutritionist and a sort of health expert, and also has her own products. And she has a fabulous brand. She's the founder of 79 Lux, which has got some beautiful oils, which I use. I've shown you some of the oils. I'm using the balm at the moment. In fact, I think I used the balm this morning. So I'll leave a list of collagen things that I think are good to buy. But let's just talk about good things here, because Susan's mentioning, have you tried baked apple with cinnamon, a little organic honey with vegan coconut yogurt? It's so delicious. So it's about changing what we consider to be filling a hole, which I think is always refined, and a delicious experience of eating.
Exactly. I mean, that sounds great. I mean, you've got the apple with pectin, all that good stuff in the cinnamon, which is good for blood sugar balancing. Small amounts of that, all good. Small amounts of raw or local or manuka honey, all good. So it's about, because I think that cake is really just a metaphor for comfort, right? So often we're just like...
Yeah, but are you going to say to people they shouldn't eat cake again?
No, not at all. I'm just saying, like, sometimes it's a hot bath, sometimes it's a light candle, sometimes you need
that comfort.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you need the comfort. So if we then raise our consciousness about what does that comfort look like, just think about it for a moment. So if I say to people, you can eat whatever you like, but I just would ask you to wait for 10 minutes. And in that moment, think about how you feel, where you're at, what you really want to do, and how you want to feel not just 10 minutes later, but the next morning.
Yeah.
And quite often, it's that consciousness that will help you make a better choice. I eat dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Often, most days.
Yeah.
I drink red wine.
Yeah.
Often, most days.
Yeah.
However, because I've raised the consciousness around that consumption, it's one glass. I really try and stick to one glass only. I'm not saying it all the time.
But you'll enjoy something fully as opposed to... I love this 10-minute rule. I really like that, because there is that, give it to me now, where is it? And then it's about taking a breath. It's a slight meditative attitude to being conscious around what's going to be good for your body and not having regret. And also, I think there's something as well here too, Karen, which sometimes people find not easy to discuss, because many people struggle with weight, and this is not about weight today, it's about health. But if you feel that, you want to look at, you're going down this path, you're perimenopausal or menopausal, your ability to process the foods changes, I think. And as a result of that change, it means that a lot of people call it menopausal tummy. And they just suddenly, they used to run around, they used to have this waist, and then suddenly menopausal tummy appears, and I'm a few months pregnant appears. All right, and that to me is that is like inflammation. That's the inability to process things like we used to. Our metabolic rate has changed, all these things. So that situation, which I think many of you identify with, what are the key things that we haven't already discussed that are really important to remember if you kind of think, I'd like to tackle that part of what's happening to my body, because that makes me feel, and I'm going to use this word, which is a word I don't think any woman wants to hear, frumpy. There's a frumpiness, like our clothes suddenly feel frumpy. We feel that sort of, that weight of, not weight of physical, I put on weight, but just that weight of no longer feeling our shape. I think a lot of women who've had a shape, they go in and out and in and out, and suddenly that it's all just filling in. It stops an element of your feeling your womanliness. There's little things in this, and for every single woman it's a different trigger. But what can we do about that?
Yeah, no, completely.
Yeah.
I completely hear that.
Okay.
The good news is one of the first easiest things we can do doesn't cost us anything, right? It is literally chewing your food, breaking down your food.
Yeah.
If we chew each mouthful, and everyone, like my clients just, they're like crazy when I say this, but if you just do it, you count it out in your head, obviously, at least 25 times, you'll reset the way you eat in 3 days. Yeah. Just count every mouthful 25 times. In 3 days, you'll do that automatically. Yeah. You'll go back on day 5 and count it out, and you'll be like, oh, I got to 24, 25 without thinking of it.
It's such a weird one, because I remember when we were in lockdown, I had on a very handsome, we've got about 4 very handsome men who come on the show. One is called Dr. Sepp, who used to be at Viva Maya.
Yeah.
And I remember he said to me, Trinny, I want you to chew, I think he said 28 times, but anyway. And I was like, I felt I was a masticating cow when I was chewing something really soft like mashed potato. How do you chew mashed potato? But when I was chewing things with a bit more substance, what I found really interesting is the taste evolved of what I was eating. My taste buds became more aware in a very nice way. So that element of what you said at the beginning of savouring what we're eating, and a lovely lady, Bridget here, said, Nada said, be prepared, present when you eat. Chew, 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 be present when you eat. You said this at the very beginning.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that sort of well, first of all, it's literally the mind-gut connection.
Yeah.
So it gives your tummy enough time to send the I'm full, I'm satisfied signals to your brain. Then you don't have that sort of gulping of air, which makes you bloated.
Gulping of air, let's talk about that for a second, because I don't know how many people appreciate that when we eat quickly, we're taking in as much air as food, which actually makes you bloated, doesn't it? More bloated.
It makes you blow up.
Yeah.
But also, you've got all this, if you're lucky enough to be eating delicious, nutritious food, but you're not actually getting the nutrients because you're not breaking them down, so your body isn't absorbing them.
So if we just swallow and we don't chew, do they just then poo out and we don't get them?
Well, not quite, but you're just getting less.
You literally are getting less.
So you might be losing, 30-40% of the nutrients because you're not breaking them down, your body can't absorb them. But it just gives you time, again, as you mentioned, it's sort of a bit of a meditative state.
Yeah.
The other thing is just being relaxed when you're eating, and this is even if you are eating something that is not necessarily, kale and quinoa, right?
Yeah,
if you decide you want to eat a pizza in a conscious way, like you're in Italy, you must eat a fabulous pizza.
Okay. Yeah.
You must eat
pasta. I ate
pasta.
the most delicious carbonara when I was in Venice last week.
Exactly.
And if I'd eaten it in London here at lunch, it would have been and I didn't have to be anywhere. That carbonara was so much more delicious.
Exactly. So you're relaxed, you're raising you've decided, I'm not eating it because I really want to talk to a really good friend because I'm feeling sad. The best thing is to talk to a really good friend. But I'm eating it because it's going to be delicious. I'm going to enjoy it. Just enjoy it. No guilt around it. Just enjoy it. Because the stress cortisol, which is a stress hormone, literally, sometimes you're feeling really stressed, you're feeling really anxious, you're like, why don't my jeans fit?
Yeah.
They fitted 10 minutes ago. And it literally is designed to help your body hang onto fat, and you feel like you're blowing up.
Which
so
is
the mind is so key.
This is why, and this is what's so interesting is, I hadn't weighed myself for about 10 years, and then in the middle of COVID I did, and I was like 10 kilos more than I'd been, which I was way too thin before. And I don't ever usually talk about weight, but sometimes you all ask me. What was really interesting is I ate so much on holiday. I ate it really slowly. I really enjoyed it. And I was not stressed for 5 days. I came back and I'd lost weight. Yeah. It was just odd that it's just so funny that we forget things so easily, Karen. That's the thing. It's like sometimes we need to put things on our fridge door. You know, remember to eat slowly. It will help you feel less stressed. Helping you feel less stressed means your body doesn't hold on to cortisol, which makes it hold on to everything else that you don't want it to hold on to. I mean, those are such simple messages. And I think at the end, it'd be really nice to put like the 10 Karenisms. Should we do the 10 Karenisms? Gillian, good morning from South Wales. Love this piece. Cutting down carbs and sugar has done wonders for my arthritis.
Because it's inflammation.
Yeah. I feel so much more lively and my skin is definitely smoother. This is just like,
well done, Gillian.
This is also about health. Hayley, I'm 41 and perimenopausal. What is the best collagen supplement for me? We'll mention some at the end. Nina, not all sugar, but sugar made in Europe is too dangerous for your health. African sugar is naturally good. Okay, let's talk about different types of sugar, because that's interesting. I've never heard that before, that African sugar is better. So talk to me about different types of sugar.
I say I haven't particularly heard that before either.
Yeah,
but I will say there are naturally things that are naturally sweet, like natural sweeteners that are lower on the glycemic index, which means it won't spike your blood sugar, which is probably what Nina was talking about.
So whether it's muscovada
or coconut syrup is one that I use a lot.
Yeah. Agave. Or is that too sweet?
Agave is what we used to use before we, but it's not the best option.
Stevia?
Stevia is okay. I mean,
tastes a bit disgusting.
Everything that is sweet is still something we don't want to do in excess. Okay. Because from a sort of weight management perspective, your body, your fat cells treat it like sugar and they hang on, they sort of expand and hang on. Yeah. So we still want to limit all sweet things, but there's some that are certainly better, and some that also come with additional health benefits, like for example amino acids, and like the antiviral benefits of some honeys, like Manuka honey. Yeah, like Manuka honey. I should be putting on my eye now. Actually.
Haley says, does red light improve collagen, please? There's many different LEDs. The most basic one, just have one red light. Number 7, do one. The light salon, do one. You can then upscale to like Flexo, which is a sort of more professional one, which has different types of light. You can have a blue light or a red light or a mixture of light. Some are anti-inflammatory, some are collagen boosting. The red light generally is a collagen boosting one. Weena, if you've had breast cancer, unfortunately, you're not allowed to take estrogen. Oh, we haven't gone into that.
Yes,
we're not talking menopausal things yet. Yeah. Sue, advanced nutrition program supplements, can't beat them. That's lovely. You're enjoying those. Sharon, I have questioned scientists about collagen, and they said it does not need to be liposomal as long as it's hydrolyzed, which is exactly what you said, Karen. So you can absorb it, and it doesn't need to go to your intestine to be effective. Is that true?
It's all about being highly hydrolyzed.
Okay, can you explain for people hydrolyzed? Because when we use words here, which some people have heard for the first time, I always want to explain them.
So, I mean, essentially, it's how the collagen is being processed. But the higher the number, the better. It really is just about absorption. So just think of it as how is this going to be absorbed into my body? Yeah. And when it's highly hydrolyzed, it's going to be highly absorbed. Okay. And the opposite is true if the number is low. So you want to look for highly hydrolyzed. That's great. And so unfortunately, there are some supplements where it really sort of doesn't really matter. Where things like zinc, for example, it's quite helpful for conditions like eczema. I say get the zinc. But
because it just reduces that inflammation.
Yeah, but collagen is one where it does need to be hydrolyzed. So the collagen, I think, is really key to get really, really good quality collagen. I think that vitamin C is a really good quality vitamin C.
Yeah. Lisa here is saying, this is just a random one, but I like to try and answer everyone. I really like to get some Aractane in the UK, but it's really hard to get hold of. Do you know any alternative for it? What it does for a really good job? Lisa, it depends. If you've got adult acne, there are solutions for adult acne. Julia, what's the name of the lady, Faith?
Julia Hunter?
No, Justine Hextall is a lovely dermatologist we've had on here talking about acne. And she's actually, treating a friend of mine right now and not using Ractane. There are other ways you can do it with topicals, but if you want to go down the route of Ractane, you have to go to a GP. They have to grade your acne and think it's bad enough to take it. I did actually do it, and the first time I did it through the NHS, they gave me 20 milligrams a day for 4 months, and then it came back again afterwards, so then I went to a 60 milligram a day. It does have side effects, and you have to consider them hugely. There are other alternatives to reduce acne. So Justine Hextall will leave her details at the bottom. I love her as a dermatologist. There's many good dermatologists around, but I think it's quite difficult sometimes going through a GP because they maybe won't always subscribe it unless they think you've got very bad acne, and it's very subjective. Nikki, this is a random one, but I want to ask you, are calcium supplements bad for you?
Yeah, the whole calcium
Really?
supplement debate. I mean, I personally
Yeah.
don't do calcium supplements.
Yeah. What are they actually for? I mean, who should be taking them?
Essentially, we've got to really be thinking about our bone health from the age of 40.
Yeah.
And obviously, as we get older, it becomes more of an issue.
And if you've had anyone in family, my mother had osteoporosis, then obviously if you have a history of it, you're going to be aware of it.
So it's all about bone health. I think there are other ways to support the bone health. Calcium, you can have too much. They can be hard to absorb. So, but there are some good calcium, the calcium, magnesium. But I think about just the point about thinking about calcium is really usually to think about bone health.
Yeah.
So, things you can do: weightlifting, lift weights.
Yeah.
I mean, if you lift weights 5 times a week.
Even a small weight, it's just about maintaining that calcium.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's going to be really great. The collagen is going to help with that.
Mm-hmm.
Getting enough vitamin D, and that's not only supplementing, which most of us in the Northern Hemisphere need to do in the winter, but also it's about just getting a little bit of making it yourself. So 10 to 30 minutes of unprotected sun exposure. Of course, SPF is important. It's a major skin
also
tool,
you can do it on the tummy because that's the biggest organ area. Isn't
exactly.
It? So
if you
it's
can,
a great thing.
You've got a garden or a balcony or
get the tummy up, protect the face, but get this tummy up without the SPF.
Exactly.
But like before 10 and after 4 are kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So then you want to cover up. You can also get it for your eyes, so just taking the sunglasses off occasionally. Magnesium is also really important for that. So I think just generally think about the sort of holistic bone health.
Yeah, fantastic. Everyone's loving you, darling. Daniela, is vegan diet good for the skin? Let's talk about that.
I mean, if you're Beyonce and you got your vegan chef, I mean, I just think it's harder. Right? It doesn't mean that you can't be really healthy on lots of different diets. Personally, I'm all about, is it sustainable? Because if it's not sustainable and it's not attainable, it's not going to work. Yeah. So can you sustain
should we
it?
take the word diet out of the equation? Should we change this narrative? Because I think the word diet is so unhealthy and so labelling. So is it just changing the patterns by which you choose to eat and what you choose to put in your mouth on a permanent level? So it's like the shift as you go down this path of what's actually good for your body.
Exactly. So I think that it's, when it comes to what to eat, right? It's eat food, mostly plants, so heavy on the plant food.
What proportion for you do you do?
Well, I would do at least 50%.
Okay. So when you say plant, you're saying vegetables, lettuces,
50 to 70%.
legumes.
I do eat flesh. I do eat some fish.
Did you call it flesh?
I do.
I love that. I eat flesh.
I eat flesh. I do eat some fish and I do eat some meat. But I eat meat very occasionally. Really small amounts. I try and, source locally if I can, but really small amounts. And I think more from a sort of holistic, collective, planetary perspective, we've got to limit our meat intake. But if you love it, eat a small amount, occasionally.
Yeah.
I think that the one thing that's quite difficult on a vegan and even a strict vegetarian diet, you can get amino acids outside of protein, outside of animal sources, but it's a bit harder. And amino acids really are the building blocks.
They are the blockchain.
Exactly.
They are blockchain. They really are. They're going to there for the collagen and elastane to be stimulated. So our peptides, for instance, because they go and feed those amino acids.
Exactly. So that's the sort of regeneration. And of course you can supplement. So I do a great supplement that I've used on and off for ages, called Lumity, which is an amino-based morning and night, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
So you've got the sort of energy and protection in the morning and the regeneration at night.
Yeah.
So you can supplement, you can work around it, but it's harder.
It's hard. It is harder. This is an interesting one. Hello, Grant. Any tips on anti-inflammatory diet? So I'm going to take away the word diet, but anti-inflammatory, changing in how we eat. Okay. So what are the best foods that are anti-inflammatory?
Well, okay, so we talked about taking away the refined sugar, right?
Yeah,
so we know that. And then we want to add in, all of the good stuff. So berries, great. I love a blueberry, right?
Yeah,
any berries are good. They're actually quite low in natural sugar.
Yeah.
Really good for you. Omega-3s, so things that are really rich in omega-3s. That's where wild fish comes in. Salmon is a really interesting one because it can literally be one of the worst things you could eat or one of the best.
Depending on where it's sourced.
Depending on where it's sourced. But a really good one, really rich in omega-3, as is mackerel. All those fats, nuts.
So if you're going down the aisle at Lidl or Sainsbury's or Tesco or Waitrose and you want to buy salmon, what do you look for?
Wild salmon, which is quite expensive.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, you don't do it all the time.
Yeah.
It's quite often, so when I buy my wild salmon, I usually sort of find it on, it's often on sale, and I buy 2 or 3 at a time and chuck it in the freezer. Defrost really easily, so that's really key. And just don't be afraid of fats, especially women as we get older. And again, we're thinking about the sort of age management thing.
Yeah.
Fat is not good. Good fat is not going to make you fat.
Good fat is good for you, like an avocado. Good for you. For some people, not too much. Michelle, hi. I was wondering if you could advise which collagen I can take if I have an iodine allergy and I'm vegetarian.
Well, you should be okay with the marine collagen. Oh, no, sorry.
Plant-based collagen.
Plant-based collagen.
There are some plant-based collagens. We'll list a plant-based collagen at the end because I think, Faith, we've got one.
Yeah.
Collagen good for thinning hair. Trudy, thinning hair is a totally different issue because there's so much around thinning hair and lots of women who had COVID, their hair just fell out. My hair fell out, a third of my hair fell out. And so I went on a mission for everything. And then there's separately thinning hair. So there's hair, which is like chronic, not alopecia, but it's called chronic something, when you maybe have had a fever, and that high fever has made your hair go from the 3 stages of sort of like starting to growth to fall out, to starting to fall out, starting and then fall out. And the growth phase is just crossed over. And that's what happens to people who suddenly get hair loss. So having good things for your hair is always something that to me is slightly questionable. I'm going to, in my opinion, you give yours, but I do feel that this is dead and what's going to grow out is alive. So what can I deal with here? So what can I take? I actually take Ionicare, which has got a really good levels of collagen supplements as well, but it's hair, nails, etc. I did microneedling in my hairline to stimulate the follicle, and I put peptides in it. So I did some quite extreme things. There's some lovely ampules from pharmacy in Italy, which we can list below. But I think thinning hair generally, you can use cosmetic things that are thickening, like a lovely man who was on Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, JH something, sent me his shampoos, and he has a thickening shampoo. Jonathan, what's his name, Faith?
I'll find out.
Yeah, the guy who's on Queer Eye, but he has a thickening shampoo. There's people who have very good thickening shampoos, but otherwise, thinning hair, what is good? What do you advise clients who are in that, and it happens a lot menopausally?
It happens a lot. It's happened to me. I completely understand it.
Not that yours looks thin, but you're fluffing.
Well, I've sort of, one thing I've done is totally embrace my natural texture, and my natural texture manipulated. Because I do think
my natural texture manipulated. Yeah, okay.
But basically, my hair isn't straight. My hair is, natural Afro hair. So I think that's one thing, especially as we get older, a little bit of volume. Don't be afraid of a little bit of mess.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be so perfect.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. Look at me. I mean, it's like, I always do, and my hair's got thicker now, but I always do. Let me find the nits, let me find the nits. And a lot of you say you never brush your hair, but it does give me that sense of a lot more volume than is there.
I need a bit more volume. But, I had... Through lockdown, I didn't have COVID, I haven't been ill, I've been, great. But obviously it's a stressful time for everybody, right? It's coming at you somehow. And suddenly my hairdresser, when I went back, sort of, told me about a little patch, and you could see she was like, should I tell her, should I not? She told me about a little patch, and she took a picture, and there was a little tiny, shiny little patch, completely bald. But I knew, and obviously it's totally natural to get very upset, but I knew it's stress, it's caused by stress, so really try, and I really know it's hard, but really try, because I just thought, right, I'm getting a sign that, because everything kind of looked like it was okay, I'm getting a sign that something's not quite okay, and I really tried to sit with that and be okay with that, and thank God for the rest of the hair that I had, right? And then it's about building all of the things that are going to support, and I think, Trinny, you're completely right. The focus, especially if we're sort of thinking about budget, focus more on what is coming out, so internally and scalp health, than what goes on top. If you can do everything, amazing. But focus on. So again, it's all the same stuff. It's the amino acids, it's the omega-3s, it's the collagen, MSM, which is a naturally occurring sulfur, is really good for the hair as well.
Brilliant.
So layering. I'm
behind a bit on comments because there's many who've come through since.
Jonathan Van Ness, by the way.
Jonathan Van Ness, thank you so much, Faith. Lorna, and we've sort of covered this, but I'm just going to say it to shout you out. I'm menopausal and my stomach is always so bloated. There's so many women who identify with this. Even though I eat fruit and porridge for breakfast and lots of fish and vegetables, but I do eat too quickly. I think this could be the problem.
Try not to eat the porridge and the fruit on an empty stomach every single day.
Oh really? So what should you eat it on?
So try and eat. Did she say she was vegetarian? Sorry.
No, I want.
Okay. So
lots of vegetables.
So first of all, we don't want exactly the same thing in the morning on an empty stomach. And then our stomach is most sensitive. Oats are good. Fruit is good, but it's carbs, it's sugar, right? And so try and maybe alternate it with a protein-based breakfast, an egg-based breakfast, for example.
I do a little egg. So I do an egg with a little tomato and parsley one morning, and the next morning I'll do porridge and chia seeds and flax seeds and whatever.
You want to mix it up?
Yeah, mixing it up. I think mixing it up. So, and then I'll do a lovely bread without gluten, which has peanut butter and raspberry jam on it. So it's like, I
mix it up.
It's so true that
but focus a bit more on protein early in the day. You'll also you'll be more sustained throughout the day.
Sustained. Jessica, after bariatric surgery, I don't know what that is. I'm losing tons of hair, as in bunches. Any recommended on supplements like that? I think we covered that. I hope that's helped you. Mary, I do love my chocolate, but little doesn't hurt. I use honey a lot and make loads of natural masks, and I drink red wine. That's,
full of resveratrol.
Yes,
as long as it's only one glass.
Resveratrol. Resveratrol is such a good supplement, and it is in some good red wines. Suzanne, also being conscious, grateful, thankful for having food on the table at all. Yes, 100%. Nina, I am celiac and I eat everything gluten-free and lactose-free. That is, some people who lack a gene, they have celiac, and it means that they can't have any gluten. Yvonne, I've lost much collagen over the years, and I look forward to seeing your recommendations for collagen products too. Looking forward to receiving my first Trinny product, Retinol. Interesting item this morning, and hope you're enjoying your break in Italia. I mean, I think that there's, we haven't got on to, I'm so enjoying your conversation, Karen, on what's going inside your body. I think we need you back for other things, but this is such a good conversation, and we cover in other things about, actually how you get fullness back in your face, whether it's using a retinoid or whether it's using niacinamides, hyaluronic acid for the plumpness. There are lots of different things. Then there's tweakments, which we discuss a bit, and I might have somebody back on again for treatments. We can discuss treatments. We could be here for hours. I'd love it. Now I'm going to go right to the end because I think I've just got too many comments. Trudy Slee, it happened to, that's somebody talking to, they love to talk to each other, and I adore this because they have. I have PCOS. My acne is very sensitive to sugar. What's PCOS?
Polycystic.
Oh, I'm so sorry. God, yes, is it just? I mean, polycystic ovaries, this is something that really has a relationship with bad skin too. And I think a lot of people, it's like you produce too many eggs, isn't it? And it's overstimulation. So before your period, you can just go on your face, and really tough. And also when you're trying to have a child, it's quite important to have dealt with polycystic ovaries before you want to get pregnant, which I'm sure you will get advice on if you haven't looked at that already. But again, sugar, isn't it? Just it will feed the overproduction. Because polycystic ovaries produce too much of which hormone?
Not sure actually, but yes.
But it does do that.
We need to reduce the sugar.
Yeah, I keep bees and we enjoy natural honey. Lovely. Hi, love this girl. I love this girls, and I have this Alexi set. I find it hard to slow down eating with kids. It is difficult in our daily life when we have to juggle family, getting kids to school, relationships, our own work, all these things. So I always feel, it's like this morning, Karen, I was coming to you and I'd done a live already on working out.
Yes, I saw you.
And then the thing is, what I keep forgetting to tell the team is saying, can we make this 10 a.m., which is difficult for people who might be going somewhere, because it gives me 15 minutes to have a shower, have my breakfast and get here. And I was scoffing my breakfast back thinking, I want to eat this slowly. You know, so I think it's about, even if you can find one meal in the day which you can have quietly. So let's say you just sort of say, you know, breakfast with the kids is never a quiet event, especially if they're a certain age. And dinner might just be chaotic. So is there a moment at lunch you can sit, go to a little cafe if you're working or on the school run, and just have that time where you just enjoy something and do that for your body? Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think if you do have a little flexibility, if you're working from home, sometimes it's better to just wait, you know, and maybe have something when you get back from, for example, the school run, rather than chucking something down. Give your body a little bit of time to just, you know, do its thing before you know, fill it up again.
Yeah. This is a different subject. This is an interesting one, and it opens up a whole new thing, because I discuss this a lot. Susanna, I had breast cancer stage 3, and they gave me 6 months to live. Over 20 years ago, I healed myself, and I do take estrogen. Susanna, it's really interesting. It depends which type of breast cancer you have as to what supplements, hormonal supplements, you can still take, and everyone is different. But love to hear more about your journey. You know, I think when you have journeys like that, it's really important to share them. And then if somebody has a similar breast cancer to you, it's an alternative way they can look at stuff too. But that sounds like a really inspiring story. Yvonne, how do you address collagen loss when you notice on the arms and legs? I walk a lot of late, having medical tests and miss the walking. Now, walking, I'm just going to throw this in because we both know this. Walking is lovely. Walking is a bit of cardio, but it's not strength training.
Yeah.
And strength training might not, you know, it doesn't mean you're Popeye with a sort of 20-kilo weight.
At all.
It means you're literally just, like what I do with Nat 3 days a week, it will use 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 kilos. And the women who've gone on this journey with me, we do it on Instagram, and we post them on YouTube, so everyone get them. But that's what I've really shifted as a 58-year-old, that I know strength training is even more important than walking. Mobility is important, but if I don't keep that going, that
is, and we've all heard stories about, you know, grandparents, great-grandparents, they were fine until they fell over, fractured something, and that was it.
Yeah.
So strength training is really key, and also it's so good for the mind. There's something very empowering about lifting those weights, and that slow, controlled movements are really key. But yeah, strength training.
Feeling, you know, just for our state of mind, you know, we might be going through difficult times. We might be thinking, why on earth am I married to the person I'm still married to 20 years later? Why are my kids just being so tricky? But there's something about appreciating our own strength. So for me, I started during lockdown, I literally was 1 kilo weight like this. And I was going, oh, Natalie, it's too heavy. Now I do a 5 kilo, and I'm like, the feeling it gives me just to do that, it makes me mentally strong as well as
it really does.
Well.
That is absolutely key.
It's so important. So do join us or find somebody. Okay, I'm going to do 5 more questions. What yogurts do you recommend? Can I just say, how important is it to take yogurt, live yogurt, and what time of day should we have it?
I think I don't actually do yogurt.
Why?
Personally, I avoid dairy. I mean, it's, you know, it's better with goats or sheep, but generally because of my eczema, I generally avoid dairy.
So do you think people with eczema should avoid dairy?
Yes, avoid. And when I say avoid, I mean avoid. I don't mean eliminate.
Okay,
I don't mean never ever take it, but avoid it.
Yeah.
But if you have a good yogurt, great. Empty-ish stomach is best.
It's better.
So I think what you're talking about is a probiotic, and there's a really, the relationship between the gut and the skin is really key. Between the gut and mood is really key. Between the gut and our immunity. So just having a really good balance in your gut is great. And if yogurt works for you in the morning,
then do it.
I've got a question here.
Yes, please.
Can we talk a little bit about water intake? So
Let's talk about water, because there is, there's a lot of talk about water. Most people feel do at least 2 litres a day, but talk to me about water.
Well, I mean, we all know we got to hydrate, right? You got to stay hydrated for your liver to function, for your skin to look good. I guess
to
the
be
thing
able
about
to poo well.
exactly.
Yeah.
I guess the thing about water that that may not be so obvious is that we don't want to do it at the same time as eating. So we don't want to mess with our digestive system. It gets a bit confused. Am I breaking down food? Am I drinking water? So we want to see that crack. I need more MSM. I ran out of MSM for a week and already I'm feeling crack. So you ideally you would drink water 10 to 20 minutes before or after a meal.
Yeah.
And then also you can up your water right? So just adding, for example, cucumber, rich in silica, really good for your skin and your hair. Yeah. And it makes it taste delicious.
Yeah. This is exactly that. This is about nutrition. The word diet. To me, if I had to ban words, it would be anti-aging. And diet. For Those two words. Those two words.
Anti-aging, that is the big one that I wish people would stop with.
I know. Okay, I'm Sheila, just because we like to go through everyone's comments. Sheila, your statement on wild salmon was correct decades ago. Today, wild salmon can have high levels of metals. Farm salmon from countries who have strict regulations for the feed content is actually better.
It absolutely can be. That is true. As a general rule, you would go for wild rather than not. But if you can look into it, you're absolutely right. There's a great farm, for example, in Scotland. Yeah. But that's a bit more work.
Melanie, what can you recommend for dehydrated skin? I find hyaluronic acid and retinols leave my skin dry, tight, and sometimes puckers my skin. Now, this depends on, I'm just going to do my bit and you do your bit. But first of all, it depends which retinol and hyaluronic acid you're taking. How do you layer them? And also, is your skin dry or dehydrated? Because we can use these words without understanding. So a very good way to work out if it's dry or dehydrated is take out coffee and anything that dehydrates you for 3 or 4 days and drink the level of water you're drinking. And if after that time your skin still feels really dry, then your skin is properly dry, if you're drinking a lot of water. But if you don't drink that much water and you suddenly find yourself, you're drinking water and it's not dry anymore, it's a water-based thing, so your skin is dehydrated. Dry means there's a lack of oils in it. So if you're taking a prescription retinol and you don't have acne, I don't believe people should do prescription tretinoins and differins if they don't have acne, because I think it's too strong and a lot of people take it as a thing they take forever, and I think you don't need it. I think you can do non-prescription, you can do retinols. I prefer to retinols because they just convert once in the skin. We have our own two here. Another thing, and now this is a time for me to mention your glorious things. Do you have one of your oils here? No, she doesn't. Okay, she doesn't. It's fine, but I'm just going to tell you because amongst all the things, and I just say it's such good advice, we've got to have her on again, haven't we? But Karen found it also 79 Lux, and you sent me things because you came on one of our in elevator pitches.
Exactly.
And you might remember from Instagram elevator pitch too. But you've got oils and balms, but your balm for the body, I've never had, first of all, expensive, okay? Save up. Don't buy the Michael Kors handbag kind of thing. But the balm as the treat once a year is the most incredible texture, and balm sometimes to me always feel heavy, sticky, and this just goes in the skin, doesn't leave it oily, and it's just like it's like food for the skin. It's a beautiful product and it smells divine. In fact, Karen smells of everything she's got in her product. So I just have to say that to you.
Thank you, Trinny. And it is, I do think of it as like superfood. So I talk about my supplements, talk about food, but also it's about feeding your skin. Yeah. And it's feeding your skin that is not just what everyone sees, but beneath the neck as well, because I think that's really about holistic wellness. Yeah. And I do think that psychologically, a lot of us can think, we'll spend all our money here, but we sort of get out of the shower and the bath and we look down and we see the sort of, that lovely inner thigh sag, and the kind of put the arm up a certain angle and the skin starts going like that, and you think, oh, here we go. And it's like toning, working out a bit, vigorously massaging, I totally believe in, really beautiful things, whether it's a coconut oil that is what your budget is, or whether you could go to or you do both, or you swap and change.
You swap and change, yeah, but it is that. Can I say it's been a joy. We haven't answered all the questions. What I'd love, Karen, is if you have afterwards 10 minutes just to go through with Faith some of the really the questions. That would be so helpful. But can we just give it up for Karen in the room? And do we not want her back? Yes. Thank you so much.
What a treat.
You're such an elegant woman. And can I ask how old you are? 52. Okay, she's 52. I mean, look at that skin. I mean, I know it's your genes, and I wish my skin was deeper caramel, so I wouldn't line as much. But you look so amazing because she's just, I mean, you can see her through the lens, but Karen is throbbingly glowing with health.
Bless you.
You
But
know?
can I just say, because I had eczema, and back in the day,
Yeah.
they had put chemicals on your skin, right?
Yeah.
So my skin actually thinned out, so it doesn't behave like, you know, typical black skin.
Okay.
So I have very thin skin.
Yeah.
Which is
Behaves
prone
more
to
like my
line,
skin
so
a
it's
bit
much
more,
more like
yeah.
your skin. But the thing about thin skin, yes, it's going to line easier, yes, it's going to scar easier, but it also is more translucent, so you get a glow easier.
Okay.
So, you know,
Yeah.
it's like swings
You're
and
a bit like
roundabouts.
beauty, yeah, so there's pros and cons. But thank you so much for watching, and we will catch up again soon. And next week, we'll just be doing a, I think, skincare Q&A, Faith, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And do leave below also what other things you would like us to discuss, because we've got a nice flow now of things we can go to. And thank you so much for watching.